Someone sent me an email the other day and said, you know, when Hillary Clinton thinks private sector, she thinks that's a new recruit in the Army. She doesn't have a lot of experience in the private sector. Have you heard her latest brainstorm? I know you've heard it several times during this conference, and that is the idea of giving every child born in this country a $5,000 bond, without regards to whether or not they were born in a wedlock setting, or without regards to the fact that the $5,000 bond gets paid for by borrowing $5,000 from the very child's future. And in my opinion, Hillary Clinton could be elected president of France, let alone president of the United States. This would be kind of funny, to tell you the truth, if it weren't so important, so critical. These are really critical times. I was approached some years ago by a friend of mine who's a professor. He was head of an education system in his state, and he said to me, Mitt, he said, what do you believe were the great inflection points in American history? And not being as bright as he, I said, what do you mean inflection points? And he said, well, if you look over the history of the country, you'll see there are points where everything changes. Culture, industrial competition, the nature of our developments, the military strategy, all these things change. He said the revolutionary days were such an inflection point, where we threw off Great Britain and where we redefined the relationship between the citizen and the state. Prior to that time, the view was that the state was the sovereign and the citizen was the servant. But after the Declaration of Independence, we identified the fact that God had given to the individual certain inalienable rights. The citizen became the sovereign, and the state became the servant. And that, as the poet said, has made all the difference in the world. We became a nation of freedom, a nation of opportunity. Now we face another inflection point, I believe, in America's history. Because of the forces that are impinging upon us, we're going to change course again. The force of jihad, the force of the emergence of Asia as a new competitor. Our own domestic challenges, our massive overspending in Washington, D.C., our overuse of foreign oil, our education challenges, our healthcare challenges, our immigration challenges, all impinge on us to a degree that I think we're going to see an inflection point. And in that setting, Hillary Clinton stands up and says she's the candidate of change. And I think she would change America. Now we go from prosperity to poverty. Now that's not the right course. The right course is not big brother, big government, big taxes. It's low taxes, small government, and get government off your shoulders, and lower enterprises to be more competitive. By the way, someone said if you reach for your wallet, no, the best way to meet a Democratic politician is to reach for your wallet, and he'll be there shaking your hand. The right direction for America is to reaffirm the principles of conservatism that have always formed the base of America's success. Now, what do I mean by principles of conservatism? If someone asks you to choose one word to say what a conservative stands for, you might say freedom, values. I choose the word strength. I believe that a strong America is the best ally peace in the world has ever known. And if you want to have peace and prosperity, you want America to be strong. Remember what Ronald Reagan said. He said 4 wars he saw during his lifetime, and not one of them began because America was too strong. Now, American strength it was that stopped Hitler. It was America's strength that stopped Slobodan Milosevic. It was America's strength that stopped Saddam Hussein. It was America's strength that stopped the Taliban. And it's the reality of America's strength, diplomatic and economic and military, that will stop Kim Jong-il and Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Was invited to speak to the United Nations, and even more stunned that Colombia did the same. Look, this is a guy who's denied the Holocaust, a person who's called for the destruction of another nation, a person who has spoken of genocide, and a person who is seeking the technology that would allow him to carry that out. He has clearly violated the Genocide Convention's prohibition against incitation to genocide. And instead of being invited to New York, he should have been indicted in New York. Peace in America, peace in the world, peace for our children. It depends in large measure on America's strength, and our military strength depends on our economic strength. You can't have a Tier 1 military and have a Tier 2 economy. Russia or the Soviet Union tried that for a while, couldn't keep up. We just outcompeted them. So you have to have a superpower economy if you want to have a superpower military. How do you do that? I had a conversation some years ago with an old friend, Bibi Netanyahu. He was talking about his first service as the finance minister in Israel, and their economy was shrinking. He said as he looked at what was going on, he realized it was like the first day of basic training in the Israeli military. He said they lined everybody up on the football field. They said, turn to the guy next to you, put him on your shoulders. We're going to have a race. He looked at the guy next to him. He was huge. He said, I could barely launch him on my shoulders, and I couldn't make it down the field. The guy who won had the little guy on his shoulders. He said, the guy on the shoulders, that's like government. And the employers, those are the guys in the race. And he said the key to winning the economic race is by having a small guy on your shoulders. Keep government small. That's number one. And that, as they say, is why I'm a staunch supply-sider. Now, you just look around the world and you see the power of supply-side thinking. Look at Ireland. It used to be the basket case in Europe. Then they lowered their tax rates for corporations to the lowest in the industrialized world, and jobs just came pouring in. You can see France and Germany. They're looking at the picture. They see what's happening. But the Democrat three taxateers, they look at what's happening, and they don't understand it. They think everybody else is wrong, and they're the only ones that have got it right. It does remind me of an old story about, well, I'll say it's about me. I'm driving home on Route 95 in Boston. My wife calls and says, Mitt, are you on 95 coming home? I said, yes. She said, well, you better watch out. They say on the TV that there's an idiot driving the wrong way on the interstate highway. And I said, well, it's not just one idiot, it's hundreds of them. That's the way Democrats think about taxes. On taxes. First, I want to kill the death tax once and for all. And I want to make the Bush tax cuts permanent. I want to lower marginal tax rates for all Americans. It depends on how loud you clap for each one, so pay attention. I want to hold the line on Social Security taxes. I wanted to stop the inflation creep of the alternative minimum tax. And I want to lower, yes, lower corporate taxes. And better wages and more government revenue, then the idea is to get corporate taxes down. Ours are the highest in the industrialized world, right there next to Japan. Some people say we're ahead, some say we're slightly below. But one thing's clear, look at Japan's anemic growth. That's not what we want. So lower corporate taxes. And then finally, one more thing. I say on the campaign trail, it's not fair that we get taxed when we earn our money, taxed when we save our money, and taxed when we die. And I've already talked about the death tax, but we talked about savings. Under my plan, for modest income and middle income American families, $200,000 in income a year and less, there should be a new tax rate on savings. And the tax rate on interest, dividends, and capital gains should be absolutely zero.